right, so I am back here with my friend Luke Angstadt, the writer of the Musings of Daylapieux, Finding the Tree of Life, which of course I again want to encourage you guys to pick up and buy that and read it. We're going to go ahead and pretty much finish off where we left off, maybe talk about some interesting topics today. Before we get started, I did bring up something to you before we started recording, Luke, and I had asked Mike his thoughts on this, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on it. So I've always thought of space as more dimensional. So only because I have seen what they now call UAPs, which I've told you on your channel, and I have seen weird stuff like flashes after they disappear, like they've gone through some type of portal or something.
Mhm.
So my thoughts on space is not so much, I mean, it would be physical travel, I guess, but they go through dimensional portals to get to places quicker. I'm sure there's also a whole scientific thing on the ways they travel, but it made me think, you have the whole argument of flat Earth and round Earth, right?
Mhm.
I never knock either one. And the reason being is there's an Illuminati card game, and it was done in the 90s. I don't know if you are aware of that card.
Not familiar with that.
Check it out. It's interesting. And there's some cards on there that things have come to pass.
Mhm.
It's what's crazy. But one of
Mhm.
the cards is a flat Earth card, and it basically says, not fully quoted. It's just like, here's my run on it, that flat Earthers almost have it, but they not quite. Okay. So I thought about that, and I'm like, well, maybe it's because this is more of a plane or a realm of existence,
Mhm.
so much the way we have been told and perceive it. So I was curious to see what your thoughts are on that.
As far as the the flat Earth or round Earth, it does it really doesn't make a difference to me. I guess. I mean,
It
I
doesn't
know
to
that.
me either.
Yeah, it really doesn't. But I think that we do. As far, I don't know if you're hinting at parallel universes and alternate or multiple the multi-universe, the omni-universe, and I'm completely on with that. And I think I think what's happening right now, and really it's the best thing I can do is borrow a lot of metaphors that David Icke uses because his are they just paint a very accurate picture of what's going on, and that is that it's like it's different. It's different, like it's like a different station on the TV or the radio. It's a different frequency, and what's happening is that these we are our world is being absorbed by another universe, by one of these parallel universes where where the frequencies are getting so close to the dial where they're one is being
Meshing.
absorbed by the other one, and that's what we're seeing right now. Right, we're seeing that with artificial intelligence is that our world is being absorbed by another parallel universe, and people can deny this and call it quackery all they want, but I mean, denial has its limits, and we are fast approaching the limits of denial where people just won't be able to they won't be able to deny it anymore. I think we're already there, but people just don't have the words for it because they spent their entire lives in denial, and now it's a tough pill to swallow when to admit that everything that you believed about your world as is false, is just simply not true. That's a tough pill to swallow, but we're to that point. We're at the very cusp where people won't be able to deny it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or they're going to lose their minds over it because,
Yeah.
yeah, your whole paradigm just gone.
Mhm.
To piggyback on that, it made me think of what you were saying with the worlds kind of colliding. My mom, a few years ago, she's passed now, but she was in the hospital, and something happened. She had a urinary tract. There's all sorts of things, but it made her kind of lose her mind for a while there.
Mhm.
And I would swear to you, Luke, she was in another dimension during that time. She
I
was
believe it.
being the opposite of me. It was me, but like a not so nice me,
Mhm.
and all sorts of things. Like she was freaking out on the nurse in this reality, but
Mhm.
one she was seeing in the other reality was not nice. It was crazy when she was so real to her.
Oh,
And
wow.
like, I just wonder if she had like part of herself in another reality and was
Mhm.
glitching in between.
Yeah. And that's what happens when schizophrenics are hearing voices and seeing other people that aren't there. They're seeing and perceiving alternate realities. I mean,
I
parallel
always believe
universes.
that.
That's what they're seeing. Yeah.
My mom had schizoaffective disorder, which was a type of schizophrenia, and
Mhm.
if she didn't take the medicine they gave her, she would see flying roaches, probably stuff you would see on shrooms or something
Mhm.
like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it makes you wonder, are they just really just seeing, you know? But anyway, I thank you for humoring me on this topic, because it's one that I'm like way interested in.
And here's another one with the flat Earth. I mean, when you were flying in a jet at 30,000 feet or 30,000 feet, and you look out the window, there isn't even a hint of the curvature of the Earth, is there? Have you ever? I mean, it's not. It is as flat as it gets, and you can
And
see
that's
for
their argument.
yeah, you can see for hundreds of miles, and there
Yeah.
isn't even a hint of the curvature. So I don't know. I don't I just don't know one way or the other. And for me, it doesn't make a difference one way or the other. But it
It
would
could be a donut
nothing.
for all
Yeah,
I
nothing
care.
would surprise me. Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
I
nothing
said
would
it could
surprise
no, I said it could be a donut for all I care.
me.
To know
Yeah,
you.
nothing would surprise me anymore. After, and I keep on saying this until it sinks in. Then that is it. After March of 2020, when the governments of the world were able to convince 99% of people that you can lock down the world to save the world, and 99% of people fell in line lockstep, whether they believed it or not, anything is possible. I mean, our version of this version of reality lost all credence with me. I mean, it's just, and that's why I stopped writing. I mean, I finished my book at the end of 2020 because I got to the point where I could no longer take this reality seriously anymore. It was unworthy of it. I mean,
I feel the same way.
yeah.
I
I mean,
feel
I never thought that level of insanity was possible. I didn't.
it's shocking
Never in my
too.
wildest dreams. Yeah.
Do you know that I went into Walmart with an Iron Man mask on?
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
Have I showed you that picture?
No, no. But I
Oh,
mean,
I'll have to send it
it
to you.
deserves this world. It deserves to be mocked and ridiculed. You know, it is the turd circling the toilet bowl. You know, that's what it
It
is, and
seriously
that's
is.
what it is.
It is. I mean, there are mornings I seriously wake up and then don't, no worries, people. I am, not going there or anything.
Hmm.
Yeah, be careful saying that word. So
Hmm.
anyway, but I'm like, everything's so meaningless. That's how I some mornings well, most mornings anymore, when I wake up,
Hmm.
I'm just like, it's chaos.
Hmm.
It's it's just like I just can't. I can't.
Hmm.
And nobody is able to open their minds enough to take in knowledge, even if it doesn't go with their paradigm. You know what I mean? They nobody is open enough to listen. They have their little world and that's all they want. They don't so if we've been lied to about all sorts of stuff, and people, and for the most part, a lot of people will agree that they've been lied to by their government. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
why can't we be lied to from other avenues?
Hmm. Hmm.
There's control in everything. Why can't people grasp the fact that the Bible has been manipulated?
Hmm.
For example, that things aren't, worth. There's so much metaphors in the Bible alone,
Hmm.
and people think. I had a comment, and I respect this lady, so I'm not saying her name, but she had said, the history, and it's also literal, and the history and everything in the Bible is basically fact.
Hmm.
But there are some characters in the Bible, for example, Job never existed. There's no proof that Solomon ever existed.
Hmm.
Okay, I mean, look at his name: Sol, sun, Om, Hindu,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then On, which is Heliopolis, which is the city of the sun. There's just a lot of code and stuff like that, and I just think people would feel more free if they opened themselves up to seeing things a little bit more differently. You know,
I always say in the Old Testament, I mean, if anybody reads it, I mean, you just have to read it. But the biggest challenge those people faced was finding a place to put all the corpses. I mean, the biggest challenge in their everyday life was finding a way to step over all the dead bodies, and that's not hyperbole. But
no,
you
it's
know,
true.
heaven forbid you actually read it and you approach it with intellectual honesty. I mean, we wouldn't want to do that. I mean, wow, that's scary right there. But it's on the page. It's just right
Yeah.
there.
It's right there. It could bite you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mean it in a, and I have said this in other videos, so I do want to apologize to my listeners if they've gotten offended at all by it, but it's really not being offensive. But I considered myself a super Christian. And what I mean by that is you have your Christian, people
Mm-hmm.
just take the label, and then you have your super Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my name for Christians who actually read the Bible every day, who were hungry to learn more and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know a good amount of people who just they love the Bible, they love scripture and they're in it. And that was me. You know what I mean? And I still read it, but I read it with a different viewpoint because I wasn't satisfied with just because that's how it says it in that translation you're reading. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Or
it's
what
metaphysics. That's what the Bible is. I mean,
it
these are
really is.
what Carl Jung referred to as archetypal stories that have evolved over time, and they are like they are like the basic first principle stories with the human race. I mean, but if people could just open their minds and apply a little nuance
It's
to
a
the
mirror
reading.
of the stars too.
Yeah.
It's like
Hmm.
everything is in there.
Hmm.
It's the craziest thing. It's mind blowing to
It
me.
really is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess people have they go through certain stages, is what I'm told by another friend. And they have to hit those stages first before they can really, you know,
Hmm.
I just hope more people do because I just hate seeing people a slave to the system.
But kind of like what we were talking about like a month ago on one of our recordings is that people aren't. I don't think people are going to wake up anymore. Those that are wake up, those that are, who are awake, they've been awake for a while, quite some time. But people who aren't awake yet, they're never going to wake up. And I like giving credit where credit is due. But a good friend of mine, Don, said years ago. He said, after the revolution has passed through and people are lying in the streets bleeding to death, they still won't know what hit them. They really won't. And I thought that was a bit extreme, but it's not. The more I thought about it, it's not. He grew up in the 1960s. He's a Vietnam vet,
Yeah.
but that's what's going to
Yes.
happen. People will be laying in the streets bleeding to death, not knowing, still not seeing it. Still
Yeah.
calling people like us who calling us the crazies. It's like
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
but they won't see it. Nothing at this point will wake them up. It's a
And
shame.
I think you're right. I think
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, that's where I'm mostly at. I mean, of course, I have like a hair tad of hope
Hmm.
for humanity, but I tell you, I don't have much left.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Hmm.
And I'm always like more optimistic, than pessimistic and more just with it just it's crazy.
That is. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
believe we're in the age of Aquarius?
I thought we moved into the age of Aquarius last December at the winter solstice. But were you familiar with that? I thought it was
Yeah,
2020.
yeah.
Yeah, winter
Yeah,
December
and there's a
2020.
lot of people that have that thought. I've even thought about 2012 when they had that whole Mayan calendar thing. It wasn't so much a ending, but an ending of a age going into
Mhm.
the age. I mean, it's hard to say when.
And these ages, the ends aren't abrupt, right? Because I mean, people talk about there being like the death agonies of the Kali Yuga, with the Hindus and the Kali Yuga, the
Yeah,
Satya Yuga, and then the two in between, and they say that it's not an abrupt transition, but like I said, there are the death agonies of the old age, and then there are the birthing pains of the new age, and a lot of people speculate that we are going through
we
that
are definitely
process.
going
Yeah.
through that. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
I mean, you see it. I mean, it's again, and you just look around, and it would certainly appear so.
It
Yeah.
most definitely does. You can't ignore
Yeah.
it, Now it's in your face, to be honest.
Hmm.
It's not
Hmm.
subtle anymore.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to bring up. Um,
But to give you the questions of the simulation, I think we are talking
yeah,
about.
let's talk
Yeah,
about that because we
sure.
started talking about that before.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Again,
So
it's one of those subjects. It just blows people's mind, right? I mean, you look at where the first simulation of Pong in the 1970s. Yeah, that was the first simulation game in the 1970s. Pong in like less than in little more, what, not even 50 years. We're to these. We were able to simulate virtual realities that are already all but indistinguishable from what we call our reality. So I mean, it's just a matter of time before we and it's just a matter of time before virtual realities that are indistinguishable from everyday reality are introduced. And yeah, it certainly begs the question that is this the first time an intelligent race of beings, was had this virtual reality that was, or no, it's like, of course not. I mean, the odds of that being, or the odds of this happening the first time, it's 1 out of 1 billion. So I
Yeah,
mean, it's the odds that we aren't in a simulation are 1 out of 1 billion. So it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. Yeah.
agreed. Agreed. I mean, you see how just with us messing with AI, how
Hmm.
quickly it can actually be sentient. Now, there's people who say, "Oh, AI is just like a brick; it's not sentient."
No.
That guy got fired at Google because
Hmm.
he said
Yeah, for saying it. Yeah.
sentient.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's very possible that you can have a simulated reality.
Hmm.
I personally think that if we do, this has made this reality kind of a prison planet.
Oh, it has. Yeah, it is a prison.
Yeah.
Hmm. It's a
And
perceptual prison. Yeah.
yeah, most definitely. Most
Hmm.
definitely. I have heard talks years ago where they've pulled in the Anunnaki with that, with the simulation
Hmm.
and stuff like that, and then being in control of that simulation. I
Oh.
think they've even said that Saturn is a base for them,
Hmm.
and that some even believe that it's artificial and not even. Oh, did I say Saturn?
I do too. David Icke goes into great detail with that and how Saturn wasn't always way out in the far recesses of our universe, of our solar system, but it used to be much more closer to
Yeah, I
us.
actually said the wrong thing, but Saturn, yes, that they did say
They
Saturn,
moved Saturn, yeah.
sir, which, from other talks that I've heard, that's why we have earrings, rings on our
Hmm.
fingers, um, stuff like that, because they perceive that. But I meant to say the moon is a base. Saturn,
Oh yeah, the moon. The moon is
yeah,
definitely a satellite. Yeah, the moon is definitely
Saturn,
a station.
Saturn is the energy that's controlling the simulation. That's what I've heard
No,
talk.
I've heard that many times too. Yeah, and they have pictures of spaceships or just UFOs or whatever the case. I mean, some kind of spaceship that some kind of intelligently made ship in within like the rings of Saturn. I've seen that. I've seen many pictures of that. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, I mean, I've even seen stuff into the sun.
Hmm.
Yes, which
Hmm.
is crazy. So then it makes you wonder, what kind of technology allows you to be able to go into the sun? You know what I mean? And then it makes you wonder, well, what really is the sun? I've no Now, granted, my telescope isn't that great, but I have pointed it at Venus, and it really looks like a bunch of hot air or something.
Hmm.
It doesn't even look solid
Hmm.
in my telescope. Now, granted, I don't have the Lucifer telescope
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
something like that, but I think they probably got something even better than that now. But yeah, I mean, back to the Saturn thing with it controlling the world. Then brings into thoughts. I haven't done a video on it, but it would be so short. I might as well bring it up now. But it makes you think of Saturnalia, right? And how heavily influenced the Jewish religion is. Oh, I know I'm probably going to have stones thrown at me right now.
Hmm.
With Saturn, they got the square, here. Then you think about caps and gowns. When you graduate, you got the square
Sure.
there. That's
Yeah.
not a Jewish thing. That's
And
just,
then the big cube in Islam, the Kaaba and Mecca. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, so
So
the
that includes
Saturn
the
symbol
Muslims. Yep.
is everywhere. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of Saturn influence. And that's,
Saturday, yeah, I mean, Saturn holds a huge influence and power over the human race.
yeah. Yeah. And then we were discussing on my last show that how Sunday would be sun worship, and that it's Christianity basically is sun worship. So
Hmm.
um, and that goes way back.
Hmm.
You have Mithra and stuff like that. It's just crazy when you start going in one rabbit hole, you end
Hmm.
another rabbit hole.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how much evidence people have to be presented with, how much just every day that things are not as they seem, and and once you realize that, I mean, what more does it take for people to be curious to question the very fabric of existence and the nature of reality and what they've been told. I mean, and I just keep coming back to March of 2020 when that actually when the governments of the world were able to pull that one off. But even to this day, people still are unwilling to talk about it. I mean, even people within like the Patriot Freedom Fighter movement, they are terrified by that question. I mean, they pretend like I'm speaking Venusian and they're on to the next thing because they will not ask that question. I say, I mean, we lock down society to save society. I say, just think about that for a minute. Think about how insane that is.
I mean,
That's the most
every
insane thing
part
I've
of
ever
it,
heard. What's that?
every part of it was insane.
Everything about it's insane. And to
To
this
wear
day,
a
they still,
mask,
yeah,
and wear a mask that's not going to protect you from anything. In
yeah,
fact, it's going to make you sick because you're breathing in your own bacteria. That's how they taught it in the Spanish flu
hmm
when we're getting bacterial pneumonia. Then,
hmm
then you have to be 6 feet apart. Well, that's
hmm
interesting since our torial, I can't ever say the right, torial field,
hmm
6 feet.
Of course. Hmm
Yeah. So like, why did they didn't want people's energies meshing, and
hmm
so it's like we just really need to think a lot more broader than so close-minded. But in a way, I can empathize with some people, especially Christians, because I came from this, going from 11 to 12 years being a hardcore Christian and then finding out this news. It was 2 years of just utter depression for me.
Oh, really?
It
Wow.
broke me, yeah. And
What got you out of it? Your depression.
just knowledge,
Hmm
knowledge. I mean, once I got past that, I feel free. You know what I mean? I mean,
hmm
granted, this place is oppressive, but but I feel free. I feel like I know who I really am, which is a freeing thing. It's awesome. I feel like my relationship with the universe, with God, whatever you want to call the creator of all, is much stronger. Um, I feel like I'm going to do something wrong and live in guilt all the time, even though it says there's no condemnation in those who are in Christ. I
hmm
just always felt pushed down. So once I got past all that, it was much more freeing. But I can totally empathize because that cognitive dissonance when it comes to belief systems is very strong.
Yeah. No,
And
I know.
strong, and it's easier to try to ignore something than
Mhm.
to actually wake up to it.
Yeah.
So I can empathize.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I had my awakening when I was, well, I lost all my illusions at a very young age. So, I mean, I didn't have that much to
Probably a little bit easier when you're
it
younger.
must have been, yeah. Well, it was very difficult even that. I lost it at my, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Did you lose a lot of
I had my
friends?
complete break from it when I was 20 years old, but I was having little breaks from the illusions all throughout my teenage years. Even probably from like when I was 10 years old. There was never a moment where I said, "Oh man, I'm convinced of this," and I had no doubts. It's like I always knew that there was something profoundly off with what I was being, taught and told and forced to play along with. And I could never understand why other people didn't have the doubts. Why I just could never understand that. And to this day, I think there's some genetic component there too.
Wonder that
I
myself.
think there's an intellectual honesty gene. I really do. Because here in 2022 AD, it's just gotten to a point where it is just so ridiculous. It's laughable. I mean, the moment I try to have an intellectually honest conversation with people, they just shut you down. They shut me down instantly, and it's just to the point where it's beyond ridiculous. Yeah,
That's true. That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can respect the conversation if somebody doesn't agree with me on it,
I can too, but they're
but
not even willing to have the
if
conversation.
they're willing to have the conversation and,
Mhm,
and listen to you and be nice, like I can have
mhm,
a conversation about anything with anybody. I could say, well, I disagree on that, but I'm not rude about it. At least I try not to be. If I am, I sure hope somebody points it out because that's the last thing I want to do. But that's the problem with this world is that if it goes against any kind of belief system, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people attack, you know?
mhm.
And it's just terrible. And we really got to get past that, I
But
think.
to harken back to the earlier in this recording is that we're coming to the point where deny people will not be able to deny it anymore. And I think even at an animal level, they can't deny it. But again, the cognitive dissonance will not allow them to. It will not breach their conscious mind. But at a cellular level, in their bones, in their I mean, their bodies know. I mean, their nature. I mean, their animal natures know. that
Yeah.
something's off and that there is a storm coming and that there is a war coming. They know it, but their conscious mind just will not let it in yet because that's how strong the manipulation of perception is. That's how strong the brainwashing and the mind control is.
I
That
totally agree. I mean, even with my situation, I grew up Catholic,
mhm,
and then I was a Wiccan in my 20s. I moved down here to the Bible Belt. Um, Eventually became a born again Christian, was real hardcore with that for 11 to 12 years. Now, even in the beginning of being a Christian, there were things that I was seeing that wasn't lining up for me. But I spent 11 to 12 years just constantly questioning things. And it took that long for
mhm.
me to go, whoa, you know? So, but I don't regret that. It looks like we got 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
Um, so I don't regret that because what I've done is gain a huge amount of knowledge of scripture, which is great, so that I'm able
Mhm,
to communicate with another Christian about that and, and show them a different look at it and things like that. So, but it's interesting when I became a Christian, I was 33. Interesting number.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm,
It
yeah,
makes you wonder things that, with like just codes and numbers. There's numbers in everything, like Fibonacci sequence and
mhm,
things like that. It's just crazy. I mean, I don't believe in coincidences, so I can't say, is that a coincidence? Because I really don't believe in them.
mhm.
So, you know,
No, no doubt about it. Yeah. And I still read the Bible regularly because I believe there is truth. The
it's
Bible is
stuff in
truth.
there.
It's a different kind of truth, though. I mean, it's pure metaphysics for me, and it is the universe discovering and learning about itself. That's how I see it. It's the universe is interacting with itself, and that's
It's
how I see it.
amazing.
It is amazing when you look at it that way. It'll blow your mind.
It
You look
does.
at, I mean, yeah, well, if you understand the Old Testament, the brutality of the Old Testament, and then you look at the concept of grace and how and Paul's metaphysical explanations and trying to bridge the quantum leap between being judged by law and the brutality of the law and the offering of sacrifices to being just by simply being forgiven. I mean, it is telling the story of the universe learning about itself. It's about self-discovery, the
Yep.
universe experiencing self-discovery. And if people could just open their minds, it would absolutely blow their minds.
It's
Because
true. I mean, even
it's
looking
truly
at his.
beyond their wildest dreams. The Bible is true beyond people's wildest
Oh,
dreams.
it is. It's much
Yeah.
deeper than what they perceive it. It's
Yes, it is.
history and
Mhm,
literal stuff, and
mhm,
that it's much, much deeper. And so when you go in it with that same mind, and read Jesus's teachings, they're mind blowing.
mhm,
It makes you see things so much, like when he said that you can move a mountain, you know,
mhm,
having faith the size of a mustard seed. Well, when you actually look at that much deeper, it's like, whoa,
mhm,
I am a powerful creator. Yeah.
That's what he's telling people, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, but some people would say, well, that's blasphemy. Why is it blasphemy? We are made in his image, aren't we? But I think people look to the outside and don't look to the other parts of us, which really our soul expands outside of our body. So
Mhm,
they look at this meat suit and not the actual what's really us, because this dies and goes away.
mhm. Well, there's a big difference between something being biblical and something being Orthodox Christianity. I mean, they're not the same thing. I mean, they're
No.
almost not even related. I mean, they're hardly even related. I
But
mean,
when
just
you when
barely
you
tangentially, but yeah.
yeah, that's true. And when you tell people that Rome, has their hands in pretty much all religions, they're like, what?
Mhm,
Or all denominations of Christianity,
mhm,
and they even had something to do with the Muslims. So they formed that.
mhm,
That's a whole other rabbit hole. People don't want to hear that stuff. They just don't.
mhm.
But I don't know how much time we have.
We have 6.5 minutes.
Okay, there it is.
But another one of my favorite ones to come back to because people just don't get it, and that is the power of perception and how perception works. And one of my favorite stories about this comes from a movie Sneakers from '92, and I'll tell it till I'm blue in the face until it really registers with people because there was a scene in that movie between Robert Redford and Ben Kingsley. The movie came out in 1992. Sneakers. I think a lot of people were in it. Sidney Poitier, River Phoenix, right before he died. It's a really popular movie 30 years ago. But talk about being predicting the future. But there was a scene, about computer hackers and all this stuff. But I mean, people can do their research on what the movie's about. But there's a scene in particular in this movie between Robert Redford and Ben Kingsley, and Ben Kingsley is like a stockbroker, Wall Street guy, explaining to Robert Redford the power of perception and how perception literally creates reality, and how it doesn't have to be true, but it becomes true because people make it true. And he uses the example of just creating a rumor from pure whole cloth. It doesn't have to be true, just pure fabrication, pure make believe. You make it up. You start a rumor about a very healthy company. You spread those whispers, and then you spread on the one person, then that person tells five, then that person tells 10, and then the whispers just spread, and all these rumors that are entirely false, that have no truth, have no basis in truth whatsoever. They start sowing the seeds of doubt and fear in people's minds. And then then people start selling off stock in this company, that there's nothing wrong with the company, but because of people's fears and their perception, they start selling the stock. And then companies that do business, and then businesses that do business with this company then the whispers start coming with them, because it's like, hey, what's going on with these guys? I mean, then that throws doubt and fear into these other companies. And then people start selling off stocks for companies that do business and are related with this company. And then from absolutely nothing, you can destroy entire industries over nothing.
Yeah.
And it's been done before. It's been done many times before. But this illustrates, this example from the stock market, I mean, perfectly illustrates the power of perception, where something doesn't have to be true, nor does it have to have any relationship with the truth. But if you spread a lie, and if you tell it and you repeat it, and you persevere with it, and you will change perception from nothing. Nothing. You will create and shape. You will not only shape, but you will create a new reality. And that's how perception works. And that is powerful. And that's why I tell people, you have to just take a step back and just admit to yourselves that the governments of the world are completely full of shit. They've always been full of shit.
Yes,
And
they have.
if you just stop giving them your power, stop giving them your mind, if you just take a step back and say no to the insanity, this ends. I mean, we create a new reality. We can create a new reality instantaneously if people would just say no. I'm not going to play along with the insanity. It really is that easy. It just is that easy.
Quit playing the game, people.
Quit playing the game. You know it's crazy. You know it's not good for you. But because they are possessed by the spirit of fear, they will not say no. But if they were for a moment, if they were able to muster the courage to say no to this insane system of manipulation and this prison farm, funny farm on this planet, if they would just say no, just one moment of courage to say, God damn it, enough is enough. We're not going to do it anymore. This would be over.
Mhm.
All this would be over.
Yeah,
And the governments of the world know it. That's why they don't take their foot off the gas. Right? That they never miss a beat with
yeah,
getting out there without beating people over the head with their propaganda, because they know how this works, because they realize how tenuous their power is.
exactly. And if people were to pay attention, there's nothing new under the sun. They use
No.
the same plays every time. So you can actually be ahead of them if you pay attention to what's going on
Mhm.
and stop
Mhm.
the same game, going out and voting. I mean, that's got your vote don't count.
Mhm.
Just doing that,
Mhm.
you know, keep you happy.
Mhm.
That's it. It don't
Mhm.
count. It don't count. But you have anything else you want to say? We're getting to a
I would maybe just plug my book a little bit. I mean, my book is a
yeah, go ahead.
my book is a 20-year investigation in the nature of reality, the nature of existence, God, human beings, the relationship between all of them. I mean, it reads between the lines. I mean, it is a philosophical, critical thinking, and now it's not just giving people information; it's an analysis of what's going on. I mean, that's what it is. It's an analysis of the work that David Icke has done, and Zechariah Sitchin's done, and Philip K. Dick has done, and Socrates, and Plato, and all of them, all of history, all the great 19th century French novelists. I mean, it is the reading between the lines. It is recognizing that there is an interstitial message between everything. And my book explores and analyzes that message between the lines. And I've been doing it. I did it for 20 years, and I've been trying to, wake people up and just get them at least curious. So that is
Yeah.
what my book is about. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, guys, check it out at the Musings of Daylapieux, Finding the Tree of Life. You can find that on Amazon. I will definitely put the link down below. Um, do you want them to go directly to Amazon?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, that's the best place to buy. Yeah, unless
Okay.
you know me
I
personally.
know some people have different things. So I guess what we'll do is, if you don't have anything else to say, we'll wrap it up here.
Sure.
All
And to be
right.
continued.
I would love to have you back. So
Sure.
maybe we'll make
Hmm.
sure to do that again. We can discuss some more controversial.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Sure.
guys, this is Danielle, your Celestial Piper, Soldier of the Watch. Thank you for being with us today. Make sure you check out Luke's book and links down below. Until we meet again, hit the like button, share, and comment.